Okay, we are here and we're back. We are back again, and today we're here with another guest, the talk of the town, who is the really talk of the town. Either way you want to slice the dice. Welcome, Mr. Jonathan Evans, to the Sunday morning show here.
Well, thank you, Mr. Mayor. If you don't mind, it's just been an honor to work alongside of you, and I'm accustomed to calling you Mr. Mayor. It's almost like your first name. So for the purposes of the interview, I'd like to still refer to you as that.
That's fine.
You've served this community well.
Thank you, thank you. Well, you know, I'm just glad to be alive and be on this side of the ground and not the other side. You know, I want to just jump right into this, Mr. Evans. One of the things that people do not know, and it gets overlooked, is the fact of your qualification, your education and your qualification. We've seen you for, a few months when you were here, but I want people to know who this guy really is. Take me back to college.
Well,
High school.
High school, okay. Well, I attended St. Cloud High School in St. Cloud, Florida.
Okay.
Graduated from there. Had the opportunity to attend the University of Central Florida.
Okay.
I wanted to get into government, but wasn't sure, all specific nuances until I hit the age of 19. I came to the realization that I wanted to be a city manager, and the undergraduate program that I was in was social work. So my undergraduate degree is in social work because I have a bleeding heart. I really want to do what's in the best interest of those that are in our community. So I did some research, found out what city managers do, what are they in charge of, and said, well, what's the next thing that I need to do? So that was to get a master's degree in public administration.
You didn't ask me to get a master's degree. I mean, you had to come to the master's guys, get a master's degree, but I'll let you have it. I didn't charge you, but go ahead.
So I got a master's degree in public administration from the University of Central Florida. Was fortunate enough to graduate from there with honors, and then really started the next chapter in my professional development career. Went over to the city of Largo, where I was the assistant to the city manager for approximately 6 years, from 2006 to 2012. And then had
You were the assistant.
I was the assistant to the city manager, so a junior level position right under the assistant
Which
manager.
really means that you probably ran the city. That second person in charge is usually the one that's doing a lot of the work.
Well, with that position,
we just don't see.
Right. Well, with that position, I had an opportunity to really work hands-on with the elected officials, and how I explained it to folks is that it would be the work would fall on the city manager's desk, and anything that rolls off, your job as the assistant is to catch everything. And so, had a great opportunity there. Then, a position in Haines City opened up. Was familiar with the Osceola County, Polk County area. My family is in Osceola County, so came there as the assistant city manager and was the assistant city manager for 10 months until the city manager was terminated.
Okay.
And during that time, the city manager gave me responsibility of human resources, and I said, well, I have very limited experience in human resources, so I went back to school and got another master's degree.
Without my knowledge and permission. I just like that word,
Yes,
a master's degree. Heard that, right? Go ahead.
A master's degree in business administration with a human resources management concentration from St. Leo University. So then I got the opportunity to be the assistant city manager there for 10 months, and then the council decided to move in another direction and give me the opportunity to serve as the acting manager, and then ultimately appointed me to the full-time manager position. But during that process, I was successful in obtaining probably the highest credentials you can receive as a manager. I'm an internationally accredited manager through the ICMA, International City County Management.
So what percentage, let me stop you right there for a second. What percentage of city managers have that credential?
There's only about 115 of us in the state of Florida, and there's about 412 cities, and there's 1,300 of us worldwide and international. So it's a small percentage. It shows that credentialing process makes you have to take some exams, commit to professional development, uphold the highest ethical standards, and it's something that is very important to me and very important to anyone that seeks to be a municipal manager in government.
Wow. And now let's kind of fast forward and bring me to City Riviera Beach.
Well,
Skip the other city and just come.
So, which the first time or the second time?
First time. As far as I'm concerned, this is still the first time. This is a continuation of the first time. Your constituents out there looking at you.
Yeah. No, the first time, I can tell you, I was an assistant county administrator in Sarasota County. I was there for approximately 6 months, and really missed the city manager aspects of the job. I'm a hands-on manager. I love interacting with the employees and the public. And as a county administrator, assistant county administrator, you have, in Sarasota County, it was 742 square miles, close to 600,000 residents, $1 billion operation. There was about roughly close to about 700 employees that were under my span of control, but I was only working with department heads. And I came to the realization that there is employees that will start in Sarasota County today that I will never meet and will have a 20 or 30 year career, and that's not something that I wanted to do.
I've heard you say that several times.
So
You want to get that?
No, I didn't. I wanted to get back into the management aspect of really being hands-on. So a recruiter told me about the possibility of the position here in Riviera Beach, applied, was successful in obtaining the position, and worked as hard as I possibly can for 6 months. And
Absolutely. I can attest to the fact that you were there before I got there in the morning, which is kind of unusual. I was there about 7:30. You were there early and you worked late. And I had been the mayor, but a few managers, and you were the first one that I had seen to work those kind of ungodly hours.
Well, when you love what you
do. And I think I used to say, Mr. Manager, why don't you just go home? Go home.
Yeah.
Go home and rest.
Well, and I was home. Being in that building, working with the employees, that was home to me. And so, that was an interesting time, that 6 months. And it actually was 6 months to the day I was separated from the city.
Really?
I started March 20th and was dismissed on September 20th. So it was 6 months spot on. So.
Well, we're in the month of August, and that means the 8th month of the year. That means new beginning, and it means change. And I'm going to skip everything else. I'm going to skip the unjust firing, I call it the modern day crucifixion. We're going to take you from the resurrection on forward. So, what's in the mix for Riviera Beach?
Well, there's a lot of great things in the mix. Okay. This weekend, actually, on Saturday, we're meeting with the board to establish the overarching priorities for the city, and then take that bit of information and then move forward through the budget process. But we have a lot of critical vacancies that we need to fill. We're looking for a lot of good people that are committed to moving the city forward. And I had a conversation with a member of the media, and I said, if you want to be part of something special, Riviera Beach is the place to come work. But you have to realize that you can't come in anticipating you're going to come in at 8, have lunch at noon, and go home at 5. We're going to have to take a lot of time and effort to move this city forward. And
what do you say to those people who say, why can't we just move up the local people? If someone is in a position, why can't we just make them move them to the higher position?
Well, you want the best and the brightest, and you want the people that.
Period.
Yeah, absolutely. And you want folks that can fulfill the job duties and responsibilities. It's no different than you want the best physician taking care of you in the event of a circumstance. And we, as an organization, need to do a better job in grooming our talent and providing those opportunities, because it should be the next person up. And my hope is that we get to the point where we have so much depth in the organization that it's really a no-brainer as to who the next person is to serve. Yeah.
When you said that you would want the best physician, if you needed the best in the situation, except for one exception for that. That was former, and that's why I smiled, because I thought about him. Former President Ronald Reagan. Remember, you probably remember when he got shot. They rushed him to surgery, and the first thing he has is a doctor, Democrat or Republican. I would never forget that. That made him. He said, is he a Democrat or Republican? I used the raspy voice, and they told him, you're in good hands. He's Republican. He said, okay, take me on up. So that's the one exception.
Yeah.
Well, city manager, you have awesome responsibility. People think the mayors and elected officials run the city, and they come to them for every little thing. But who runs the city?
The elected officials set the policy, and the day-to-day operations of the city falls on the shoulders of the manager and the staff. And so our job is to take the policy direction and the policy edict and the guidance from the elected officials, and then we move forward with the day-to-day operational elements of that. So the city manager runs the day-to-day operations of the city.
Do you have any help? Are you going to have one assistant, two, or how does that work in your office?
Right now, we have an individual that I've just made the appointment to be the assistant city manager, and that's Ms. Deirdre Jacobs. She's done a phenomenal job in serving in that interim role, and very well respected by the board as well as the residents in the community and the employees, which is important to me. So she will be assuming that role and assisting in managing some of the functions we have here at the city right now.
Well, that's good. What about as city manager, hurricanes? We're in hurricane season, and what plans do you have as far as the city if in fact we have one of those catastrophes again?
You know, obviously you and I had an opportunity to work closely during the hurricane season, and I commend your leadership, because there was a lot of things that folks didn't see that was not covered by the press, but you were out there on the forefront making sure that basic necessities of our residents were met. And so from a emergency management and disaster preparedness approach, we're already preparing for what's the next steps in the event of a storm. We're bringing forward a couple of resolutions to the board to set things in place and things in motion on the 21st of August. In the perfect world, certainly these things should have been executed in early May, but we've had great conversations with the interim fire chief and the police chief, and we are ramping up to be prepared to respond in the event of an incident or accident in our community. And there are certain lessons learned from Irma, and that I think we are in a better position to engage our community and to assist them in the event of a deployment.
Absolutely. Now, the warehouse building that I used to call, but it's the public service building, I guess, Riviera Beach. What's going to happen? Is there we're going to rent it? We're going to lease it out? We're going to buy it? Are there any conversations about it? People going to move back into the city hall? Or what's happening there?
Well, first and foremost, I think it's important for the city manager and leadership to be in City Hall. That's what has been accustomed to our public. That's what they're used to.
And that's on Blue Heron.
And there's a value to it, absolutely, on Blue Heron. Right now, we have some of our operations that have temporarily relocated over to the public safety building. Our intent is eventually to look at some long-term solutions that gets us out of that warehouse building. From the standpoint, it doesn't have the best ingress, egress, access to the public. It needs to be more inviting. A government facility is the public's home, and that facility is not conducive to that. It's a nice temporary location, but long-term, the council is going to have some big decisions that they're going to have to make as to what do we do with our law enforcement department, what do we do with our library, city hall, all the other facilities that we have that are in desperate need of complete reconstruction. So we're going to be bringing some of those things to the board and hopefully getting some shovels in the ground and moving forward sooner rather than later.
Well, it makes me happy. What about the schools in Riviera Beach? What is the city manager, what are your ideas, plans? Because I know a man of high education and have excelled and to the superlative degree. What will the relationship be between the school board, the schools in the city and the government of Riviera Beach? Any thoughts there?
The relationship with the schools and the school district is going to be a true, genuine partnership that
Wonderful.
The beginning and the end will not be identifiable. Because if we want to change the narrative in our community, we have to have the best schools, the best teachers, and the best educational opportunities. And so Dr. Robinson, under her leadership, is helping us to provide us some information on August 19th of the state of the schools in Riviera Beach. After we receive that report, I think it's incumbent upon us as leaders in the community to hear the call, to rally behind our schools, and to ensure that they have the resources necessary to be successful. And there may be some simplistic things that we can do that's low-hanging fruit to get our students performing where they need to be. But before coming here today, I just sent an email to all the city employees and said, if you have a child that's in school in Palm Beach County or in Riviera Beach, please on Monday morning take them to school. Be part of their educational experience. Wow. I will be out on the corner on Monday waving at kids, welcoming them back for the academic year 2019 to 2020, because I want them to know that the city is behind them, that we support what they're doing, and we will do any and everything in our power to ensure that we incrementally make the steps to have us be the premier community for educational opportunities.
And Kashama Miller Anderson is an educator.
Yes.
She's an assistant principal in one of our schools, and so I know that she has that passion
and
for education. Dr. Botel, former
Deputy
educator.
Superintendent, I believe,
yeah. So the school, I mean, you guys have no way to go but up.
Yeah,
with education.
And you,
how are we with time, young man? Are we still doing good?
Halfway.
Halfway. How's the video? Taking the time, Mr. Evans, the way that your constituents have been? Good.
And you know as well as I is that education is the great equalizer. It's the only thing that once you obtain it, no one can take that away from you. And so it's so important to really focus on the education system in our community and do whatever we can to help the parents that are out there trying to make a living and be good parents as well, because no parent wants to be a mediocre or bad parent. But how as a city can we provide the opportunity to create safe places in our neighborhoods and safe places at our rec centers to where we can be that extension of their family.
And speaking of the rec centers, one of the things that you and I had talked about sometime with midnight basketball is opening up those centers for young people can go, and not just basketball, but tutoring and in the evening hours and on the weekends for midnight basketball. Right. Any thoughts on?
Yes, we've had brief conversations with a couple of the elected officials about the possibility during the summer months to look to open our recreation facilities for a 24-hour period, whether it's from Friday night all the way through Sunday morning, because we want to provide a safe place and a venue where kids can recreate, maybe go on a late swim at Barracuda Bay, all supervised, all controlled, and give them options, because we all know that idle hands are not necessarily things that we want in our community, and give them those recreational amenities, because I can tell you, I've heard this many times, and I agree with it, public safety saves lives, but parks and recreation makes lives worth living. And
you heard it 100 times?
I've heard that 100 times.
How come I ain't never heard that? Anybody never told me that. So I've heard it for the first time today.
Yeah.
Great.
Yeah, it starts in parks, and we have an excellent parks and recreation staff.
Doing a great job. The lady is doing a great job being right there with them and carrying out a lot of the programs.
We've got a premier. We had a premier 4th of July event. Our senior programming is stellar. And that's a lot of momentum that we have in our community that we need to tell our own story.
I want to take you back to a couple of the things when I was blessed to be the mayor. China. I took a lot of heat, as you know, in the press for going to China. The mayor's going to China. How's that going to benefit Riviera Beach? And you and I had discussions about how the trip to China could benefit our city. And I had a presentation. You sent it to the United Nations and had it translated. Is that the right word?
Yeah.
And we did the presentation. And although I took heat, but the CRA representative was there to make a presentation from the CRA perspective. We had someone here from the Chinese Chamber of Commerce that went on that trip. What were your thoughts on when the mayor went to China? Because I know you were directly involved behind the scenes with the mayor and others.
Well, and it's a testament to understanding in your role as the mayor at the time that we live in a global society. And we have to understand that just because a country or a city is separated by an ocean or a creek, we have to understand that the world with technology brings us all closer. And probably something that we have on is made from China. And the presentation that you put together, I thought was an excellent presentation. It was translated into Mandarin, so people can leave there with something so they know exactly what the vision was. But the intent behind the trip was to let's have conversations with our partners, because let's face it, a lot of America's debt,
Like 40% almost.
I think
close.
at the time is 40%,
Right.
is owned by China. So we have a vested interest in making sure we have good working relationships with China. Having one of the largest deep water seaports, that's another opportunity for us. Yes, we have the mega yachts here. We service mega yachts here in Riviera Beach. So there's an abundant amount of opportunities, but if we don't explore those opportunities, we'll never know.
And as a result of that trip, we had about 8 or 9 people from China come and visit our schools in Riviera Beach, and you were instrumental in making sure that we had security and transportation as they toured through the city, went to Suncoast, which has the highest Asian population of any school in Palm Beach County. And we're really trying to get that student exchange program going too, and you were very instrumental in helping me, and I just want to say thank you for your help.
I appreciate your leadership. And then the other side of it is when you work to get academic opportunities for higher education for our students. You know, that's remarkable. I haven't seen that in any community I've ever worked in, with somebody looking to find that niche for some of our community members and say, hey, let's get some other people.
And they were offering like free tuition and different things. Now let me leave China and let's go to the Bahamas, because as you know, we had a very good relationship with Freeport, mainly with the Sister City program there between our cities. They came to us several times. I went to them several times. We went to their schools. They came to our schools. You were involved the last time they were here. What was that, 2017? And you were involved in helping to oversee what they did when they were here. They had a soccer game with the Riviera Beach team members, and they did a thing at the church, a concert. We went to different places. We went to the schools, and now the mayor is continuing with the Sister City relationship, because it's important. It's just a good fit. You know, we go to Freeport every day. You know, we have the port. A lot of our people are from the Bahamas, and the Bahamian founded Riviera Beach. So I know there was somewhat of a presentation and talked about last night, but I know you're going to continue to make sure that project continues to have life.
Right. That is definitely an initiative that Mayor Felder is really pushing to make sure that we have a very productive relationship with Freeport, opportunities for events, programs, trade, fishing tournaments, the whole nine, and really energize the relationship and reestablish some of the long-standing ties that we have in the Bahamas. So we're excited about the relationship, and we understand that we live in a global society, and we're a lot closer than we used to be.
Absolutely. Well, let's see. What else can I ask you? Is there anything that you want the public to know about Jonathan Evans? One of the things that I want people to know, I heard you a few weeks ago when you said you're not holding any grudges. You know, you're coming back in a spirit of peace and unity. Yeah. People that didn't like you or disagreed with you, went out with gave the olive branch and said, come on home. Let's all work together. Tell me about that side of Jonathan Evans that a lot of people just don't know.
Yeah, in the past, my job is what defined me. And now, having gone through what I went through, I define it. It's a part of what I do. It's not who I am. And I've learned early on in my professional career that you can't hold grudges. You can't have animosity, because when you do that, that's like you drinking the poison expecting the other person to die. Right. And that doesn't make any sense. So you're a spirit
of forgiveness and love.
Absolutely.
And unity.
And if your vision is to do what's in the best interest of Riviera Beach and move this community forward to be the envy of Palm Beach County, I want to have the conversation with you. I want to build those long-standing relationships.
Absolutely.
Some politicians want to build walls. We want to build bridges. We want to unite our community. We want to unite people on both sides. Let's make some progress, and let's make other communities envious. So there's not any animosity or any grudge or any issue.
Even those people who did all they could to get rid of Jonathan Evans, what do you say to those people today?
I have to say thank you. I have to say thank you for allowing me to see me and my profession and this community in a different light.
So it was a growing experience?
It was definitely a growing experience. And yes, you know, there is a scar, but a scar just shows you that you're stronger than whatever tried to hurt you.
Wow.
And so I've moved on. I'm moving forward. If I see any of those folks, I would wave to them and have a conversation if they wanted to. And let's focus on the business of the
Jonathan
public.
Evans that I know. And you know, reminded me of my sister Marion Berry's wife, Cora Masters Berry. And anyone that knows Cora Masters Berry knows she's a rock. And there was a situation where this guy had came out very bitterly against Marion. Marion's this and Marion's this, Marion's that. And Marion was talking to the guy, you know, and saying, man, how you doing? You know, what's going on? Come on in. They wouldn't let him in because they knew that he was against Marion. And Marion put his arm around and said, come on in here, man. Come on in with me. I'll bring you in. And my sister walked up to Marion, who was his wife, and said, Marion, do you know what this guy did? This guy tried to do everything he could do to you. And you're talking to him? Why are you talking to him? He said, Cora, he was just misguided. That's all. He was just misguided. He's my brother. He was just misguided. You know. And she just gave up. She said, you know what, Marion, okay, go, have it your way. So, you know, a lot of people are misguided. A lot of people don't know you. You know, it's like, I don't like him. Why? Well, I heard he's going to privatize the city. I heard he's going to do this. Okay, where did you hear from? What is the evidence? And there was, even with your case, you know, all he's going to do this, but where's the evidence? There wasn't any evidence. That's why I call it an unjust firing. But we're going to leave that in the past. We're going to, for one person told me to ask you, Sister Erica, I know you know Erica, yeah. She says, ask him about the beach, the private signs on the beach. I said, I ain't going to ask him that, Erica, but I'm going to ask him, what's going on with the beach and the private signs? Please, Erica, I hope you're hearing this now.
Well, I have to say, you know, Erica is definitely a vocal member of our community.
And a warrior.
Passionate, yes, foot soldier for sure. There are some signs on our beach that create some concerns for a lot of folks. And there was some legislation that was passed in Tallahassee, and the governor, from what I know, has placed that an executive order basically saying that, you know, it's to revert back to how it used to be, to where you can't necessarily go out there and do some of the things that we're seeing out on the beach. I have legal reviewing that now, as well as planning and zoning, but we want folks to know that that is a public beach, especially to the high water line, and that they should feel comfortable coming out to our beach. And
right.
We are going to research that, and we are going to have conversations with folks that want to make the beach private, but that is not something that we support, and we want to make sure that we follow all the appropriate protocols, but access to the water in our community is a priority.
And you know, the reason why I'm so opposed to it, because when I see anything private, like private restroom, private beach, it takes me back to the 60s before you were born. Those were the signs that kept black people from going into public places, public accommodations. And when I see that, it reminds me, oh God, are we going back to the 60s again? So I do hope you much success with that issue. Take the last 2 minutes and talk right in that camera to your residents of the great city of Riviera Beach.
Well, certainly, again, I do want to reiterate the point that I'm so humbled for the opportunity to be here with a great friend and a mentor, Mayor Masters, for his service to our city. I think we're all successful because we have the opportunity to rest on the shoulders of giants that have served before us. So I'm looking forward to utilizing a lot of the momentum we have in our community to deliver better governance, deliver better government, work with a dynamic board to move some of these projects and initiatives forward. We want to be your government. We want to do the very best we can to make you proud of saying that Riviera Beach is your home. We routinely say that we're the best city to live, work, and play, but I want us to change that to be we are the premier community to live, work, and play. And there will be a day when we look back at this conversation and future conversations that folks are going to be envious of the progress we make and the amenities we have. We have one of the most beautiful aquatic ecosystems in the world. We have some of the best fishing in the world. We have some of the most dynamic and unique culinary specialists. We have some of the best music. We have some of the best athletes that play professional sports that have come from our community. all right here in the city of Riviera Beach. So it is a great community to be proud of. I am certainly honored and humbled to have the opportunity to serve as the manager again, and it's certainly a lot more fun the second time around. But I want you to make sure that you realize that it's not all the workings of a city manager or board. It takes the community's efforts to rally behind what needs to happen for us to make the progress that's necessary. So thank you so much for the opportunity, Mr. Mayor. Thank you to the community for all your support and well wishes. And thank you to all the employees that day in and day out give everything they have to make your city the best and most appropriate and most amazing community to live, work, and play. And we will be that shining city on the hill.
And we are the only city in the entire world that has an intersection with two great men, Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. and President Barack Obama Highway. It's only found in the city of Riviera Beach. What a great presence for our young people.
Absolutely.
And others. Well, I guess our time is winding down. We're about right there. We're right there, which means that on our way to church or synagogue or cathedral or mosque somewhere, today is Sunday morning. So get out of that bed and remember, the best is yet to come. Thank you.
Great.
Well,